Hello, Do You Even Blog Tribe, and welcome to my new office. I'm thinking about calling it the Bat Cave or the Blog Cave for reasons we'll talk about in a second. And I'll actually produce a video walk through this office once it's absolutely done. But today I have something far more important for you, and that is naming things. Naming your products, your freebies, your different ideas and concepts and frameworks and methods or whatever you talk about from your platforms. It's incredibly important. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to give you what's in a best practice name. What goes into a really great name for something. And I have a little Venn diagram that I made up really quick that'll, make this a little bit easier. And then I have 6 ideas for naming things to make it really easy. You can even just jot these 6 down on a piece of paper. And whenever you have to name something, just pick one of these and it'll be way easier. And I got plenty of examples too. So first up, it has never been more important to stand out, to capture your audience's attention. It's 2021. I've already been saying this for years. It's a fierce world out there in the blogosphere. Lots of creators, whether you consider that competition or not, your audience is getting inundated with offers and ideas and articles and social medias and all that stuff every single day. Standing out, never been more important. So there are 3 reasons why naming things can actually help you with all this stuff. Number 1, initially grabbing somebody's attention with curiosity. Curiosity is actually a big part of copywriting. The first rule of copywriting is to get the first sentence read. And the second rule of copywriting is to get the next sentence read. Or if you've heard that before, maybe that makes sense. But the point is, a great name can draw people's attention, whether they see it on socials, email, SEO, whatever that is. Number 2, it's sticky. A great name will stay in people's heads. They'll remember it, which by the way is really great for getting people to buy your stuff. Rarely does anyone just see your product, whatever it is, for the very first time and then instantly make a purchase. I mean, that's rare. It happens, but it's rare. More often, people hear about it, they learn about it, they hear you talk about it from your podcast or your blog or whatever, and then eventually they trust you enough to make the sale. But it needs to stick in people's minds. They need to remember that's the blah, 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 your name, right? A name can be sticky and engaging for people's minds. And the last part is branding. I hate to use that word. Authority. Hear about this. A great name can get shared. It builds up authority. This person created the blah, blah, blah concept. This person wrote the blah, blah, blah formula, the blah, blah, blah technique, the different ideas you talk about in your blog. Naming them creates something that can be curious for other people who haven't heard of it yet, sticky for people who have heard of it, and then authority building. People now look to you as the creator of blah, blah, blah concepts. So that's why it's important to think about naming things, products, freebies, everything. All right. So I drew a super ugly Venn diagram, the circles that overlap or whatever. I thought of 4 general characteristics that can help you create a good name. Number 1 would be it's a little gossipy. Meaning, it's a little intriguing. It's a little mysterious. It doesn't have to be something that is completely unrelated to what you sell or what you teach or whatever, non-descriptive, total mystery. No, but it does need to be catchy. Just a little catchy, intriguing, a little gossipy. People might want to wonder what that is, right? What is that product? They want to know, right? A little curiosity invoking. Number 2 would actually be the opposite of that sometimes, which is descriptive. A great name actually describes what the product does. I'll give you examples of this in a second. It'll make more sense. But bonus points if it can be kind of both at the same time. It actually describes what you sell. The third one is, generally speaking, short and catchy, right? You don't want a name that's 17 words long. Or if you do, you need to abbreviate it, which we'll talk about in just a second. And the last one, I really do believe this, it needs to make you happy. The name for your products, the name for your freebies or whatever, I think it should make you happy. It should feel good when you say those words. When you go on other people's podcasts and you're talking about your product, it shouldn't feel clunky. It should feel cool. And even if it's not super descriptive, not super gossipy or whatever, if it feels great to you and it feels cool, there it is. Do that. Right? Stop there. That's actually probably the most important part to me. All right. So let's move on to talking about the 6 types of names that I have written down here. And of course, there are a whole lot more, but these are sort of the easier ones just to kind of open up if you need to name something and go through here. And hopefully it'll help you pick out the perfect name. And I got lots of cool examples here. All right. First up, time-related names. I really love this at this point in time. This is really great for smaller digital price stuff. Sales page in a day. I see this promoted on Facebook all the time. Sales page in a day. It's a time frame. One of my own products, actually something that did really well for the past year, 1 hour blog post. That's also pretty descriptive, isn't it? 1 hour blog post. It's a little gossipy. It invokes a little bit of curiosity. You're not really sure what the product is. What is it exactly? It doesn't know, but it's just descriptive enough to give people an idea in their heads of the outcomes. 1 hour blog post. It's a time-driven thing. My friend Liz also has 20-minute newsletters. Same sort of thing as 1 hour blog post, right? Get a newsletter out in 20 minutes. We'll stick with like a parenting topic. Oh, bedtime. 10-minute bedtime routines. I'd buy that product. If I saw that on a Facebook ad, I'd probably buy that product. 10-minute, some routine that usually takes a long time, right? 10-minute planner. Actually, there is such a thing as a 4-minute funnel. Courtney Foster Donahue sells that product. So a time-driven name. Get X result in this amount of time. That's always a popular one, and it always works. Outcome in how much time? And by the way, it could just be like a week or a month even. Like it doesn't have to be like 10 minutes, but just letting people know like a month from now, you will have X result. 1 hour blog post. You will be able to produce blog posts in 1 hour, or at least very fast, right? Time-driven names. Similarly related, outcome names. This is number 2. What is the outcome, the end result of your product, your freebie, this concept that you're teaching in a blog post or whatever that is? What is the intended outcome? So 1 hour blog post is a mini product, and then the bump offer is called lightning writing. Be able to write faster. And that's also kind of, right? It's not super clunky. Lightning writing. It sounds good. Another one is content everywhere. This is my course on content repurposing. You want your content everywhere. Blog post, podcast, YouTube, social media, Instagram, like whatever. That's kind of like an intended result sort of thing. The outcome. What is the outcome of your thing? Financially free by age 30. Maybe you could like abbreviate that one. If you're in personal finance, financially free by age 30. That's the intended outcome of your course, the outcome of your product or whatnot. 10-minute bedtime routine is also kind of an outcome, different thing. It's also a time thing, but that's also the outcome. 10-minute bedtime routines. Follow these step-by-steps to get your kids in bed in 10 minutes or less. Man, I really would buy that product. All right, the third little naming convention here would actually be rhyming. Words that rhyme. Always a popular one. And actually, I was making my notes. I failed to come up with anything except for one. That would be my friend Brendan's SEO website optimization course. That's not the name of it, but that teaches like website optimization, page speeds, right? And so his is the need for page speed. Kind of like need for speed, but need for page speed. That kind of rhymes. That's the only thing I could really come up with. Actually, lightning writing. It sounds good. It always feels cool if you can rhyme words. There you go. The next one, very closely related, alliterative names. Alliteration. As Mike Rose, third grade teacher, always said, alliteration always annoys. But it also sounds really good when it comes to naming things. So I actually have a free challenge that I'm making right now for coming up with product ideas very, very quickly, like a free challenge. And I'm calling it PPP, which stands for Plenty of Profitable Products. It's a little annoying, but, you know, alliteration. Also, Marie Forleo's The Copy Cure. I got an email about that this morning, and I thought that was a really good example too. Copy Cure. By the way, that's also, first of all, it's short and snappy, like we talked about already. It is alliterative, Copy Cure, and it's also a little bit of it's not the intended outcome per se, but it's just intriguing enough. That's the gossipy test. Copy Cure. What does that mean? We don't know, but we can kind of get it. If you know what copywriting is, you kind of get it. Like copy cure. Like you're going to cure me from my copywriting troubles. There's something to be said to that. It's short and catchy. It's alliterative. It just works. The next one would actually be acronyms. So my new program is an acronym on accident. So I'm building BMF. It stands for Blog Monetization Funnels. The only reason I ended up sticking with this name is because I wasn't happy with anything else. A name needs to make you happy, and nothing else made me happy. I generated a huge list of names, but I just kept calling it BMF, like Blog Monetization Funnels. I knew that was the topic of the program, and so BMF, I just abbreviated it, and it just stuck. And now I just think of it as that. And so now it's BMF. Super short, it's easy to say. It's not necessarily cool or super catchy, but it does arouse curiosity. No one knows what the heck that means, almost in a bad way. It's not descriptive, but something I want to point out here is if you do abbreviate a name for your concept or your freebie or whatever, you have to describe it with the tagline, right? Which is actually a good thing. I'm going to argue. You can say a lot more with a tagline than you can with a name, right? You can point people to a one sentence with like 10 words, 15 words, 20 words that does a way better job at selling the idea, selling the product, describing what the product does, et cetera, right? And if you use a abbreviated name, you have to follow it up with a tagline. In fact, people are going to look for that tagline to understand what is BMF. What is the ICE binder? The ICE binder, I-C-E, that stands for in case of emergency binder. My friend Chelsea's made like $250,000 or something like that of that small product. Abbreviation name, the ICE binder, right? ICE binder, in case of emergency. People have to look at what that is because no one knows what the ICE binder is. You're talking about ice? Like to go in my iced coffee? I don't know. Abbreviations. And the sixth and final easy one are just you see this all the time, the frameworks, the methods, the strategy, the blah, blah, blah framework, the blah, blah, blah strategy, the blah, blah, blah idea, the blah, blah, blah stuff, right? How many of you are into SEO and have heard of the skyscraper technique? Brian Dean invented it. Did he really invent it? Who knows? But he named it the skyscraper technique, and so everybody thinks he invented it. That's authority building. That's brand building. The blah, blah, blah technique. Another one is the crisscross drill. That doesn't mean anything to you, probably, but the crisscross method, the crisscross formula. That's my, method for coming up with product ideas, which I did in a different YouTube video. The Panera Bread formula for ending your blog post. I literally have a blog post about how to sign off your blog post when you write them, like the outros or whatnot. And I called it, just use the Panera Bread formula. And it talks about choosing any two. That's what you do at Panera Bread, right? You choose any two, salad and soup and sandwich, or whatever it is. And I give people a big list, a menu from ways to end your blog post. And I say, just pick two every single time. And it's the Panera Bread formula. I just named it. I just made that up. I don't think people are talking about it, but just that much more sticky, right, to think about later. All right, and that is actually going to do it. Hopefully this was helpful. Hopefully you can refer back to this next time you need to name something and want it to be good. But before you go, I would love for you to drop me a comment on what do you think I should name this office. I was thinking the Batcave because it's literally matte black all around. It's super dark and moody. But I would love to hear ideas, more suggestions. Maybe you can use, this little naming framework. I should have named this YouTube video. Anyways, maybe you could use this to help me come up with a cool name for this office. Drop me a comment below. I would love to hear from you. Hashtag YouTube, like, comment, subscribe, that sort of stuff. I'd love to have you around. All right. Y'all have a great day, Blog Tribe. Adios.